Technology with Bellevue School District. We will start the presentation with our two representatives sharing a bit about each of the universities that they represent, and then we will spend a majority of the session responding to questions. So, and it's been working well to just post questions in the chat, so you can go ahead and start posting those now. I'm going to turn it over to Britt to introduce herself, and we will proceed. So thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Britt Fernandez. I'm an associate recruiter and advisor at the University of British Columbia. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this panel and learn a little bit more about studying in Canada. UBC is consistently ranked among the top universities worldwide. We're a top 40 public research institution. And while I really love to share that statistic, two more that I find far more important are that we're ranked #1 in the world for taking urgent action to combat climate change. We offer over 750 different courses at the undergraduate level for those of you who are interested in putting your thoughts into actions. We're also the most international university in North America. So we're home to just over 18,000 international students representing 166 different countries. So not only will you be learning from top-tier professors, but you'll also learn from your diverse classmates, and you'll be hearing ideas representing all the different corners of the globe. So although we are one university, we do have two stunning campuses. Our original campus, which is located in the city of Vancouver, extremely multicultural and diverse community, home to approximately 2.6 million people. We also have our newer state-of-the-art campus, our Okanagan Campus, which is located in the city of Kelowna, home to approximately 200,000 people, so kind of a mid-sized city, located 4 hours east by car of Vancouver. Both campuses are surrounded by their spectacular Canadian national beauty, so oceans, lakes, mountains, and forests. But of course, they both do have a different size and feel, with the Okanagan campus being more of a close-knit community feel. So it's not uncommon to run into your professor in the Starbucks lineup or have some classes with some of the same students as you progress throughout your degree. But of course, the Vancouver is kind of your large-scale campus, so always events and activities going on. Regardless of which of the two campuses you decide to pursue your degree at, you will be graduating with that UBC recognizable degree. You'll also have access to the same opportunities and resources. So we put a high emphasis on what we call active learning, encouraging students to participate in things such as exchanges, co-op work terms, athletics, clubs, and research opportunities, all during their undergraduate degree. We do offer over 261 different undergraduate degree programs housed within 41 different bachelor degree programs. So I know some of you probably already know exactly what you're planning on studying, and others of you may not. For those of you who don't know quite yet, I have some great news for you, and that's at UBC you apply directly to the bachelor's degree program, which houses the most areas of interest to you. Once within that program, you complete a general first year or two before applying to declare your specific major. Once again, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to answering all your specific questions in the chat and a little bit later on.
Welcome, Alex.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Rivera. I'm a student recruitment officer with the University of Victoria. Uvic is a mid-sized school. We are about 22,000 students total, and then the majority of those students are undergraduate students, making up just under 19,000 of our student body. We also have a large international presence on our campus, with our international student body making up about 20% of our students, coming from or representing more than 100 different countries from across the globe. Once again, you'll have a very, very, very rich, diverse community on campus with lots and lots of different backgrounds and thoughts, and represented in the classroom experience as well. We are located in Victoria, the capital of British Columbia. We are on Vancouver Island, so we're surrounded by the natural environment, the water, the ocean, the mountains. It is a beautiful, beautiful place to study. Our campus is about 400 acres in size, 200 of which is green space. We are about 5-10-minute walk from the beach. So it is an extraordinary academic environment, as well as an amazing place just to live and learn in. We are consistently ranked top 3 for comprehensive universities in Canada. We have been ranked 3rd in the world for action on climate change. So these are things that we take very seriously. Being surrounded by the natural environment really does shape not just how we learn, but what we learn as well. We are leaders in programs like marine biology, sustainability, environmental studies. So if that's something that you're interested in, we also have tons of programs that include those teachings in them. And I look forward to answering any questions that you might have.
We are still looking for some questions, and fortunately I have some I can ask. So can you talk to us about the application process, what may be similar to the US, to colleges and universities in the US, and what is different? Go ahead, Brett.
Sure. So there are some key differences between applying to a Canadian university and a university in the States. One of the main differences you're going to see right away is that at the majority of Canadian universities, you're applying not through a common app, but directly on the university's specific website. A couple other key differences that you'll find in the university's processes kind of across the board is many Canadian universities don't require letters of recommendation or reference. We don't track things like demonstrated interest. So typically what we're looking for is a little bit more transparent and on our websites in a lot of cases. At UBC, we look primarily at your academic performance, and for that we'll focus mostly on your junior and senior year. However, we do have a holistic application, so we're also going to look at what we call the UBC Personal Profile. It's 5 short answer questions where you get the opportunity to tell us a little bit more about yourself in depth. Finally, we do also look at the breadth, depth, relevancy, and rigor of the courses that you've been taking. So have you been challenging yourself academically? Have you been taking courses that are relevant to your area of study? Things like IBs, APs, running starts, we do recognize that those are rigorous, and we do evaluate them for first year credit, as well as take that into consideration when we're evaluating to see whether you're going to receive an offer of admission from UBC. I'll now hand it over to Alex to share a little bit about Uvic's process.
Thank you, Britt. So similarly to UBC, we focus primarily on your grade point average. In fact, most of our programs, we're looking solely at your grade point average. We are looking for your unweighted cumulative grade point average from your freshman to senior year. Now, there are some exceptions, including the business school, the Bachelor of Commerce program at Uvic, which does require a supplemental application with, a resume as well as some entrance essays. But for the most part, we're looking at those grades. We're looking at the courses that you have completed in your high school career. And similarly to UBC, we don't require letters of recommendation or reference letters. And we're most part not looking at your extracurriculars either. You do apply directly on our website, similarly to UBC. All of our programs on our website, the particular program pages will have a recommended minimum average to apply for or to have when applying to the program, as well as the courses that we're looking for you to have completed in your high school career.
Thank you. Carly is asking how competitive are UBC and Uvic? And I think that may be in terms of admissions, but maybe there is a rivalry between the two schools.
I would say UBC is more competitive than Uvic for the most part. Britt, you can take it away.
In terms of admission, we are quite competitive. One of my biggest pieces of advice I give to students is to not underestimate your personal profile section. The majority of students who are applying to UBC are very academically strong, so your personal profile can be one of those sections where you really set yourself apart. But once again, we're not just looking at your academics, that personal profile, that breadth, depth, relevancy of courses that you're taking. All of this does factor into your decision. And then, of course, it depends on what faculty you're applying within, too. So certain programs and certain campuses can be a little bit more competitive based on the number of applications they receive in any given year.
Thank you. Charlie's asking about weighted GPAs. I think we've already established that they're not weighted, but also asking about I think taking more advanced program of study, maybe an accelerated program of study in high school. And I guess, is that valued? Is that helpful? And maybe that ties into responding to AP and IB courses as well.
We see it all the time where students in the US will take a senior level course in a different year, as long as it's apparent on your transcript. Sometimes we say that we're looking for your cumulative unweighted grade point average from your freshman to senior year. But if you took, you started and you took math in 8th grade, instead of 9th, if you can show that on your transcript, then most of the time that's okay. We just want to see that it's there, and there is no benefit to doing it. We don't take it into consideration as being something that will benefit your application if you've taken math in an earlier year or not.
Okay, thank you.
Similarly to Uvic, that's perfectly okay if you've taken it in an earlier year. We do want to see it on your transcript so that we can show that you're meeting those admission requirements for the faculty that you're applying to. We don't weight GPAs. We calculate our own internal GPA based kind of on the courses that are more relevant to your area of study. So for example, if you're applying to some kind of engineering courses, we might look at your language courses a little bit less in depth. All of that information is on our website, as well as the kind of more relevant courses that we're going to be looking at for each application.
Thank you. Megan has a question. What percentage of incoming freshmen go into the dorm system versus live off campus? Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, sure. I don't have an exact number, but I know for a fact that the majority of our freshman students do live on campus in their first year. It is not required. Typically, Uvic offers a first-year housing guarantee. So if you're a senior this year, though, and you're applying to Uvic, we are doing a first-year housing priority for freshman students or for incoming first-year students. And that's just because of the restrictions related to COVID.
Thank you. Britt?
Similarly at UBC, and my apologies, I don't have the specific percentage of students that live on campus, but the vast majority will in the first year. We do have a first year housing guarantee, so you're guaranteed that spot in housing as long as you apply by May 1st of your application year. One thing I do like to highlight about UBC's on-campus accommodation, completely optional, but it's a little bit unique from a lot of American universities in that the majority of our rooms are called connected singles. So you have your own individual room connected to the room next door with a shared bathroom that you're only sharing with that one other student. So while you're definitely still getting that kind of communal life on your floors, there's lots of events going on. In most cases, you are getting your own kind of private room to have a little bit of quiet study time if you want that.
Thank you. Carly is asking, are there financial aid options? Go ahead, Britt.
Perfect. So great question. There's two key types of scholarships available for international students at UBC. We have our merit-based entrance scholarships, and for those, you're automatically considered for those when you submit your application by the deadline. For those, we're looking primarily at your academic performance as well as that personal profile that I chatted about a little bit earlier on. We also do have need and merit-based awards. These are for students who have a very high level of financial need, wouldn't be able to attend UBC otherwise, but are kind of emerging leaders in their school. So these do require a separate application as well as nomination by your high school counselor. And these applications are due a little bit earlier on, typically before our official application deadline. In terms of US funding, we do accept your FAFSA funding. We accept your 529. We have a great website that gives all this different information, UBC's Title IV code. I will pop that in the chat as well for anyone who's interested in that.
Okay, Alex, do you have anything to add?
It is similar to UBC. We offer merit-based entrance scholarships for international students, and you are able to use your FAFSA loans to pay for your tuition in Canada, as well as we are a 529 savings school. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Mine is asking, what weight do you put on essays and extracurriculars versus grades and academics? You want to take that, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. So at Uvic, most of the applications or most of the programs that you apply to, you do not actually require submitting extracurriculars or essays for the programs. There are a few exceptions, including the business school, and they post on their website that it is 60% your grade point average, 40% the essays and your resume. For the fine arts programs, some of them require a audition or a portfolio of sorts. But for the vast majority of our programs, we're looking at your grade point average and the courses that you've taken in your high school career, not your letters of recommendation, entrance essays, or extracurriculars.
Thank you, Britt. Anything to add?
So for UBC, we do have a slightly different process, as we do have that personal profile section. That is your section to talk about those extracurriculars, anything that you've been involved in, your achievements. But one thing I do always like to let students know is there's no particular extracurriculars or achievements that we're looking for. The key things we're looking for in your personal profile are going to be a reflection. And we want to hear your voice come through. We don't get the opportunity to meet all of you face to face, so this is your chance to tell us a little bit more about yourself. So once again, especially during COVID-19 times, I can't emphasize this enough. There's no particular achievement or extracurricular that we're expecting from students. I do encourage all of you visit our website. We have a really great page on a personal profile. It'll tell you specifically what we're looking for when we're evaluating those. And once again, there's no one cookie cutter fit for everything.
Thank you. Next question from Parker is, if accepted, what extra steps does a U.S. citizen need to take to enroll? Do you want to take that one, Britt? And then we'll go to Alex.
Sure, that's a great question. In general, if you have U.S. citizenship, you will need to apply for a study permit before you can actually begin your classes here in Canada. With the majority of your offers, because we are going to be looking at your mid-year transcripts, interim grades, things like IB predicted grades, you'll be getting a conditional offer of admission when you're admitted to UBC. But you'll still get that offer letter, and that allows you to begin that process of starting your study permit and getting ready to come into Canada. At UBC, as well as I'm sure at Uvic as well, we do have some great supports available for you as you're going through that process of getting your study permit. They're there to provide some immigration advice if that's anything that you need as well.
Thank you. Anything to add, Alex?
No, that was summed up perfectly.
Okay, thank you. I think we've answered all the questions in chat. Could you spend a little time talking about the co-op experiences that I think is fairly unique to Canadian colleges and universities? You want to take that, Alex?
Yeah, I'd love to. So co-op is definitely something that we really encourage our students to do at Uvic, as well as tons of other universities in Canada offer co-op programs and encourage their students to participate. Co-op is it's similar to an internship, but it's a paid work experience. You pause your studies, then you go and you work full-time for a company. You sign a contract with them. Typically, it's about 4 months to 8 months, depending on sort of how you're fitting it into your schedule. You work full-time for that company, then you return to your studies. You can do multiple different co-ops within your degree or throughout your degree. At Uvic, you're allowed to do 16 full months of co-op before graduating. If you do complete all 16 months, you will receive a co-op designation on your diploma. It's a great way to test drive different careers. Great way to see what it is you like, and I like to say more importantly what you don't like, because if you don't like sitting at a desk all day and you do your first co-op at a job and it is a desk job, and you're going to realize quickly that that's not something that you're going to want to do, right? So your next co-op might be something much more interactive, and that's really what we want our students to do, is get those experiences, have that on their resume, so that when they're applying for jobs in the future, they know more what they're looking for and they're much more competitive in the job market. 75% of our students at Uvic, they graduate, if they've participated in co-op, they graduate with a job offer already. And we're so confident in our co-op program that we make it mandatory for a few of our programs, including engineering and the business school or the commerce program. I'll pass it to Brett.
Thank you. There's a follow-up with co-op. Can they be in the US or in Canada?
I can take that one. I know here at UBC, they're available within both. So we have some local to both of our campuses as well as in the US, and we also have some overseas too. So it really does depend on the area you're studying within as well as your interests. I'll pass it back to Alex in case it's different at Uvic.
No, totally the same. We have international options for our students. The majority of our co-ops are in British Columbia, though.
Okay. Next question is, if you get a study visa, how hard is it to become a citizen after graduation? Do I take that one, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. So the great thing about studying in Canada is if you complete a degree in Canada, at some institutions, you are eligible for what's called a postgraduate work permit. And I know that UVic and UBC both are those types of institutions. And a postgraduate work permit is a program where you are able to stay in Canada for 3 years, work full time, and in that time, a lot of people will start applying for their permanent residency, and then eventually you can start applying for your citizenship. So it is a bit of a process, but we have that door open for our students that do graduate from our institutions in Canada, and I'll leave it to Britt. Maybe she has something else to add.
No, you got it perfectly.
Okay. I don't think we've covered SAT and ACT kind of now and then, what you know about the future for those two standardized tests. So you want to take that one, Britt?
Yeah, of course. So for this past year, UBC was test optional. We haven't officially declared what we are going to be going forward, but we do expect a more formal announcement to be coming in the coming months. So I do encourage you to check back on our website. But I just always like to pause here and say that we would never encourage you to be putting yourself in unsafe or stressful situations trying to obtain one of these tests. Your health and well-being is far more important, and UBC has the means to provide exemptions for students where they're not able to obtain these tests. We do recognize that this is a very extenuating circumstances these few years. So once again, stay tuned for a more formal announcement from UBC, but please don't be rushing out to try and take these tests.
Thank you. Alex, do you have anything to add?
UVic has always been test optional, so we do not require SAT or ACT scores, and we won't be requiring them in the future for now. So.
Okay, and Carly is asking, do you have foreign exchange programs at your universities? Do you want to take that, Britt?
Sure, we definitely do. We have study abroad. We have over 200 different partner institutions. You can do between 1 and 3 different exchange terms, sometimes at one university. In some cases, you can do more than one university. All this time, you are paying your tuition directly to UBC and transferring credits back. So you're progressing throughout your degree, not necessarily delaying it in any way, but still getting to experience a different institution, a different place. We also have something called global seminars. So that's where you and a group of UBC students would head out into the field, led by a UBC professor. So things like applied animal biology in India or archaeology in Romania, you'd be studying specific to your area of focus abroad. I'll also put the link in the chat. It's always fun to kind of have a look at some of the partner institutions, but I'll pass it over to Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. So Uvic also offers an international exchange program. We have more than 140 partner institutions in more than 40 different countries across the globe. You can do up to 2 full semesters abroad. The credit will typically count towards your degree, and you can bring it back with you to count towards your degree at Uvic. Same as UBC, you will pay your Uvic tuition prices when studying abroad. And then we also have, similar to UBC's seminars, we have what are called field schools, which are also group sort of trips that you would take out to the field with your professor and other researchers in the department. Cool ones like the Indigenous Ecologies and Economies Field School in Peru, or maybe you can go to Paris and do a French immersion field school. There are tons of different options, and that's definitely something that you can look into, as well as you can do the international co-op experience as well. So definitely the ability to be an international citizen while studying at both universities.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Next question, and Alex, I'll have you start with this one. Is there one app deadline, or is it rolling early action type application process?
So we have in general, we have one application deadline, which is January 31st. The application process will start 1 year in advance, so it'll start in September of 2021 for September of 2022 entry. We do have an early conditional admission process for students applying directly from the US. So if you have a 3.5 grade point average or higher, and you get your application, if you have your application submitted before December 15th, you would be eligible for that early conditional admission. And then typically you're getting an answer or a decision in end of January, early February. For those who apply by the regular January 31st deadline, decisions start rolling out end of February.
Britt?
For UBC, we don't do early action or early decision. So with our application, I encourage you take your time, proofread, no need to rush and get it in early. Our application is typically due in January 15th, but I do like to note, if any of you do have Canadian citizenship or permanent residency, there is an earlier deadline of December 1st to be considered for the Canadian scholarships automatically. Aside from that, our timelines are very similar to what Alex outlined for Uvic. Admissions decisions start coming out on a rolling basis, starting in February and continuing all the way up until April. We do recognize that a lot of American institutions have a May 1st decision deadline. So we try to have the majority of our information on funding, whether you're going to receive a scholarship, and your admissions decisions out before that point.
Thank you. Let's close tonight's session by having each of you share how to get to know more about your universities in this virtual world we're currently in. So Alex, you want to start with that, and then we'll go to Britt to close it out.
Sure thing. So right now, with the borders being closed, it's difficult to visit the institutions. We have a great virtual tour of our campus available on our website, and I will link it here in the chat. You can even go in and take a look at what some of the residence buildings look like in the dorm rooms, which is awesome. It's a great way to see what the campus looks like physically. A great way to see what campus culture is like is by visiting the My Uvic Life blog. It is a student blog written by students, unedited by faculty or staff at Uvic, and it really does It outlines the experiences that students are having on campus in their own words, from their own perspective. And I will share that in the chat as well. And we do have a great events page, which outlines all of the future events we will be hosting, including sample lectures, different orientation events, open houses with the faculties, and so on.
Thank you, Alex. Go ahead, Britt.
Like Uvic, we also have a wonderful live virtual tour. It's offered for both of our campuses, and it's held by our amazing team of student ambassadors. So it's a perfect way to hear firsthand from a UBC student what it's actually like to study on one of the campuses. We offer them 5 days a week. I definitely recommend you check them out. Another way to get involved too and stay in touch with UBC is to create a future student portal account. I know for some of you, you probably won't be considering applying for a little while yet, so it's a great way to stay in touch, get information about when the application opens, whether there's going to be any upcoming events in your area. All of that information is housed within our future student portal. And like Alex, I'll share the link in the chat.
Thank you, Britt. I'd like to thank both of you for spending the evening with us and sharing all your wisdom about University of British Columbia and University of Victoria. I'd also like to thank all of our guests for joining us this evening and being part of our virtual college conference. We do encourage all the participants to, and we can put the link in the chat, to complete the survey so that you can give us feedback on how everything went. So thanks to both you, Britt and Alex. Well done tonight. I'm really impressed with how you approached this virtually. So thank you so much on behalf of the district. And I'm sure we may connect again in a year or so. So thank you so much, and I hope the rest of your evening goes well. At least your travels home won't be too treacherous, I would assume. So thanks, everyone. Take care.